Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. Today we're continuing our walk through Lyme 5, published by Mark Crutcher in 1996. We're at the section on injuries to the urinary tract, and it only just occurred to me that some of these aren't that the urinary tract was directly injured, it's that she suffered urinary complications because of an infection. And what I did in this case was, if you follow the link below, two of these cases are the deaths of Gail Ann Vroman and Ingar Weber. And so you'll find the links below. And I've got a lot more details on two of the cases. So Suzanne went to Southern Vermont Women's Health Center on November 22nd, 1989. And she later said that if the risks of the perforated uterus or bladder had been fully explained to her, she never would have consented to her 13-week abortion. So Dr. Michael R. Gold, aka John Roe 1, was 73 years old when he performed the procedure. He noted that the placenta and a hand of the fetus had been removed, and omentum, which is the fatty apron covering the bowels, came into the cannula. Okay, so at this point, he knew he'd seriously screwed up. So Suzanne was transferred to Rutland Regional Medical Center for emergency treatment. Gold had perforated her uterus and bladder, leaving her with permanent injuries, including difficulty controlling her bladder functions. The medical board chose not to take any action against anybody, and Suzanne, the clinic, and Dr. Gold settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Then there's Crystal in 1994. John Roe 720 was a notorious Dr. Thomas Tucker. He had performed the fatal abortion on Angela Hall in 1991, and this guy was reckless to the extreme. He had actually managed to kill a patient removing a Norplant from her arm. His ex-employees said he would show up so blitzed out of his mind that they would just do the abortions because they felt it was safer having somebody who wasn't a doctor than having this drunken doctor. And poor Crystal was only 19 years old when she walked into this situation. She was 19 weeks pregnant. It was March 26, 1994 at Tucker's Mississippi Women's Medical Clinic in Jackson, Mississippi. After the abortion, Crystal and her husband sued, stated that she hadn't been provided with adequate informed consent for the abortion. If she had fully understood the injury she might suffer, she never would have consented to it. When she realized that she'd been injured, she said she asked 3 times for staff to call an ambulance for her. They never did, but they did transport her to Methodist Medical Center in a privately owned vehicle. And this rather unorthodox transfer was witnessed by 75 pro-lifers who were protesting outside the clinic. Turns out Tucker had perforated Crystal's uterus, severed an artery, and lacerated her bladder. And this business of just putting the woman in a car instead of calling an ambulance, again, if you follow this channel or my blog, you'll see that a lot. Now, there were 4 other cases where I wasn't able to track down the original sources, either because there's not enough detail or because, you know, it's a court case and I can't afford to check it out. So if you can get any of these documents, I'd really appreciate it. Just follow the link below. There's the 1972 case of Hester in Ohio, where her bladder had been cut during the abortion and she ended up needing a hysterectomy. 1973 case of a 13-year-old girl named Cynthia who wound up needing a hysterectomy. A young woman called Tina who went to a National Abortion Federation clinic run by a high-profile member. I would have thought that I could guess who this person was, but the clinic is not in the county where this particular person that I suspected it was worked, so I'm not sure who he was. And then there's an Alabama case, Stacy, Her right ureter, which is the tube that goes from the kidney down to the bladder, was suctioned completely out of her body during an abortion on March 26th of 1994. And that facility was also a National Abortion Federation member. So I looked on the abortion doc's website, and unfortunately these cases are so old that the histories of the doctors they have on that website frequently don't go back that far. But if you do get copies, what I would ask you to do is submit them to the abortion doc's website. There's information on the website for how to submit it, but also let me know, and then I can just get it from them.